For so many, the conversation around mental health can be uncomfortable, and one individual is making quite the impact in breaking the stigma around those conversations. CEO and founder of Stay Another Day, Mackenzie Nelson, joins me. Mackenzie, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Of course.
Okay, so I want to learn a little bit about your story. Stay Another Day is something that you clearly created. Tell me how it came about.
So I graduated from Normal Community High School in Bloomington 2020, and it was COVID year, and it was something that was really hard for me. Just sitting in my parents' basement and just thinking about everything I had going on was really hard. So I decided to start something to distract myself from everything I had going on. So I started sewing headbands, scrunchies, and keychains. And then COVID actually did hit, and I sewed over 2,000 face masks that really picked up Mackenzie Page. Then I went off to play college softball. I had a good experience and then not a very great one. And I released 6 mental health awareness hoodies on Mackenzie Page, and then it turned into Stay Another Day about July of last year.
Wow. So that's a very, quick synopsis of a lot of life that has brought you to this point of having Stay Another Day. Why did you decide to take the mental health route?
So mental health was something I struggled with for a really long time, and for the longest time I was really ashamed of struggling with mental health. And I just felt like you couldn't speak up about it, and when you did speak up about it, you were kind of looked at differently. Especially being an athlete, there's like an insane pressure put on student athletes. And I just felt like somebody needed to speak up and let people know that it's okay to talk about it, it's okay to have conversations around it. Because the more people that speak up, the more people you're helping. Because if you speak up about what you're going through, it leads other people to speak up about what they're going through and also get the help that they need as well.
Yeah, I've heard it say like vulnerability offers vulnerability.
Yes.
Which I think is so true, because when you're willing to be real, then it's like, all right, guards down, everyone can talk now.
Yeah.
We don't have to put on this face anymore. But you did experience a pretty crazy, traumatizing experience in softball in terms of, explain a little bit about that experience and what happened.
So that's what really made me figure out my purpose in life. I was playing third base for Heartland, and I was pretty far up, and our pitcher threw the ball, and the girl hit a line drive straight at my mouth. It hit me probably like 80 miles per hour straight in my mouth. It knocked me unconscious, and I had a really bad concussion. My gums literally split in half. And I was out for a while, so while I was laying in my dad's basement during that time, my mental health issues started coming back. Same thing with kind of COVID, where you're laying there, thinking about everything you had going on. And during that time, I really found my passion for wanting to help others and help others speak up about their mental struggles, because it not only helps other people, but it also helps me knowing that, other people can speak up when I speak up about my own mental health.
Yeah, when did you realize, when did that first conversation happen of okay, I just opened up a little bit about this and that felt really good. It was like a pressure valve releasing a little bit. I want to do this a little bit more, but I also want to help other people do that. When did that kind of realization hit?
So the very first time I ever spoke up about my mental health and really talked to somebody, I remember it so specifically. I was a junior in high school, and I had first hour study hall, and I literally cried every single day with one of my friends, Brandon, every single day in first hour study hall. But one day it was really, really bad, and I couldn't pull myself together before going to second hour. So he walked me to one of my favorite teachers' classrooms, Miss Baker, and she let me sit in there and I cried for a little bit, and then she walked me to the guidance counselor's office, and I talked to Miss Gearman. But I was so mad because my dad wouldn't call me out of school when I was crying like that. But what he was doing was forcing me to speak up and actually ask for help by talking to my guidance counselor, and they reminded me that I was loved, I was wanted, and that other people were going through the same things that I was going through.
Yeah. What do you think is the importance of other people asking for help? I feel like there's this stigma around being willing to just go and ask for help, to go to the guidance counselor. What is that creates that?
When you ask for help, a lot of people don't realize it, but it helps you, but it also helps the people around you, not in the sense like other people speaking up, but when you're transparent with your family and your friends about what you're going through, they understand a lot more of why you're acting a certain way, or, why you might be a little more distant from them, or things you're going through. It just helps everyone in your circle, and then you can communicate with them things you can do to help you out that can help you get back on track, whether that's helping you get out of bed in the mornings, making sure you're taking your medicine, making sure you're staying on top of things. Just small things you can communicate with people, and then they can help you get back on track.
What do you think about mental health makes it so hard to talk about? Like, why is it such a hard topic?
I think that people, unfortunately, there is a stigma that's been created around mental health. And I think people have a hard time speaking up about it because in some aspects it's looked at as a weakness. For example, playing college athletics, you didn't want any reason to not be on that starting lineup on the field. And if you come forward with, you're struggling mentally, that's like it might be looked at as a weakness. So I think a lot of people look at it that way. But then there's a lot of people that just say, it's all in your head. And unfortunately, I don't think people understand how extreme mental health can be unless they have went through it themselves or they have a loved one that has went through it and they've seen it firsthand. So, I mean, you don't wish mental health on anyone, like struggling mentally on anyone, but unfortunately, it's kind of hard to fully understand what mental health is. Unless you or a loved one has struggled with it.
Let's talk a little bit about Stay Another Day. Why'd you call it that? What's the significance behind the name?
So those 3 words are what helped me in one of the lowest points of my life. Just staying one more day, taking it one day at a time, one day at a time, one day at a time led me to me being here today. Then one day I was just sitting in my basement and I was like writing it down, making some designs when I was starting the mental health awareness line. And then I realized that SAD stood for like Stay Another Day, and I thought it was awesome, like turning something a little bit negative into something positive. And then we have like a semicolon smiley face on all of our designs where you could have ended something, but you found the strength to keep going, turning it into like a little winky face. So I thought it was clever and I really liked it.
Yeah, so that is kind of, for people who may not know, the semicolon does hold that significance.
Yes.
Which is a really cool way to incorporate that into your logo there. And tell me where you've gone from here. So Stay Another Day, you have tons of cool clothing, you have an awesome website, you have a great social media presence. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing with it.
So we do have a storefront in Bloomington, which is awesome, but I'm really more getting into social engagements because I'm realizing the impact it has on specifically like the younger generations. I lost a friend when I was in 8th grade to suicide, and I didn't realize that people that age could struggle with mental health. So definitely the younger audience is what I want to get more involved with. So I've been going and speaking at my old schools I went to. I got to speak to health classes at NCHS, every freshman health class. And we found out, we did an exit survey, we found out that 67% of the students didn't know about 988 or learned something entirely new about that lifeline. So I think educating people for me is very, very important. Like obviously it's really cool wearing a shirt like this because somebody can see it and that can be their sign to keep going, because my problem is I couldn't think of a single reason to stay. And the thought behind the clothing is that you could be walking and a complete stranger, you don't even have to talk to them, could see the message, and that could be like, that's my sign to, stay one more day. But yeah, something I really love that we've been doing is we'll do fundraising events, and with that money we'll pass out t-shirts at local high schools. So I was able to pass out 200 t-shirts at my old high school, and we got to tell so many students about 988. It was really awesome.